I managed to get my hands on an Odin 3. I'm super excited, guys, because power on this device alone is absolutely wild. In today's video, I'm going to show you a plethora of emulators on the Odin 3 using the new Elite V32 Turnip driver from Steven MX, by far the best Turnip driver for this device. I'm going to look at some Xbox emulation, PC emulation, Nether SX2 Turnip emulation, and some Switch emulation. Stay tuned, guys. If you've got an Odin 3 or you're thinking about it, then this video should enlighten you on some amazing performance you can get from it. I'm super excited to have one of these. I can't wait to do more videos on it. Stay tuned if you have an Odin 3, if you're thinking about it. And also, for you guys who own the Thor, I've not forgotten about this beautiful device. I will also always feature this device on my channel. So stay tuned, I've got a lot more Thor content coming soon. The first game I wanted to check out on the Switch side of things on the Odin 3 is Metroid Dread. It's one of my favourite Metroid games ever. I think this game is just timeless. I get so much fun out of just playing this multiple times. It's such a fluid game. Gameplay just flows so well. It's got some great mechanics in it, like the counter mechanic. It's got like the integrated cutscenes, although I do want to run a mod which gives the cutscenes 60 FPS. When I first got the Odin 3 yesterday, when I was testing out all the performances and stuff, I really wanted to get Metroid Dread on the device and tested because it works great on the Thor, but it looks stunning on this 6-inch OLED screen. Now, it's slightly smaller than the Portal 2, but obviously a bit more powerful than the Portal 2. This is running the Elite chip on here. So one of the main reasons that I decided to get a Odin 3 is because I know you guys would value the opinions that I might have on the Odin 3's power. I'll be able to do a load more videos on just general gameplay on stuff on the Odin 3, and I really do love the form factor. Now, I've got the grip case on this, so it's added a little bit of bulk. It's got a little nice grip on the corners. It is a really nice grip case, actually, but point being is, it is a powerful device, and I know it's in demand at the moment, so the more gameplay testing I can do. So I'm thinking about doing like a Thor video and then an Odin 3 video. I do want to do a lot of Odin 3 stuff because it is like the newest AYN device out at the moment. Super powerful, and yeah, all round just an absolute unit of a device. So I want to do a lot of gameplay testing on the Switch, a lot of Turnip driver stuff. Like this is using the new Steven MXZ, I think version 32 Elite Turnip driver. So new Turnip driver is out, the Steven MXZ Turnip driver, and yeah, it's working amazingly on this Switch emulation side of things. In fact, I think we've pretty much crushed Switch emulation now. As you can see, look how fluid it is. We've got no breaks whatsoever in gameplay here, no stuttering, super fluid, and I'm running Clustertune on this at the moment, so I am also getting a really decent temperature. I'm also running the temps about 40 degrees, which is barely even scratching the surface here. I've got 16 gigabytes of RAM. This is obviously, like I mentioned in the intro, the max model, so this is the 16 gigs of RAM model. Barely touching the RAM. I think I'll only really test the RAM when I'm actually in PC gaming. But as far as Metroid Dread goes, one of the best Switch games in my opinion. Absolutely phenomenal, and it looks fantastic on this OLED screen. So I am using the new Turnip Gen 8 V2 driver from Steven MXZ. This is by far the best driver for the Odin 3. Like, unlike the AYN Thor that had like quite a lot of drivers, we had like the T28 drivers to use. We had other Steven MXZ drivers that were coming out. There isn't a ton of driver options on the Odin 3, but the new Turnip Gen 8 V2 is absolutely fantastic, and I think that is like by far the best driver for the Odin 3. So if you guys have got an Odin 3, make sure you're updated to the latest Turnip driver, which is the Gen 8 V2. And you can grab that driver right from the GitHub page here. So if I go to GitHub Steven MXZ and then go Turnip Gen 8 V2, if you guys just download this and just have it sat in your downloads, and every time you can apply a new graphics driver in-game, give this one a go. It's by far the most up-to-date and like more polished driver out of the Odin 3 bunch. Had to check out Mario Wonder because this game has a lot of shader caching. So in the top left, I wanted to test how good this driver was at basically caching shaders. I haven't played this level before, so this is completely new. I would say that the Odin 3 does have a lot of power on it. I'm considering like I'm barely even scratching the surface here. It's only about 47 degrees in gameplay and 31 use of the memory. I'm super excited to push the limits of this Odin 3. Yeah, I managed to get a decent price on it, and I was I've been looking at Odin 3s online for quite a while now, but obviously I've been so preoccupied with looking at the Thor and doing a load of videos on the Thor that I just didn't really think I needed to get an Odin 3. But seeing all the improvements on the Elite chip and everything like that, I wanted to get involved with the video creation side of stuff. So super impressed about the Odin 3 so far as Switch emulation goes. I will say the screen is a lot smaller than the Portal 2. So if you're more in the market for a smaller, powerful handheld, this is definitely going to have you covered. It is quite a bit smaller than the Portal 2, but with the fact it only has a 6-inch screen, you're going more for portability on that end then. You're not really going for the screen real estate. But I will say, the actual screen looks super nice. It's a nice and bright OLED screen. Crank up the brightness on it to max, and yeah, it's definitely going to blind your eyes. But the overall gameplay, the buttons on the Odin 3, so much better than the buttons on the Portal. The buttons on the Portal are so clacky. I had to go into the back end on my Portal and open it up and to kind of try and dampen the buttons as much as possible. I ended up taking the membranes off and swapping the membranes, but the buttons on this Odin 3 are so quiet, and they're a much more dampened and like muted sound. So I very much just, yeah, way prefer the face buttons on the Odin 3 as well. And with this grip case, it's super comfortable. Quick little shout out to Clustertune. I showed this off in its own video for the Thor last week, but it works perfectly on the Odin 3. This basically underclocks your CPU so you can get better temperatures, better fan, noise, and essentially just cuts off some performance that you don't necessarily need to be using in certain games. So for the last 2 games I've been showing off, I've had the large underclock on. The games have worked perfectly fine, but they've worked significantly cooler temperatures, which means the fan noise is not going to be as high and you're going to get better battery life. So download Clustertune if you want to underclock your CPU and get better battery life and fan noise. Now, seriously testing the system out here, this is the Xbox 360 emulator, more specifically Gears of War Judgement. This will absolutely ruin your Odin 3. I've managed to get playable frame rates on it. Now, this with Clustertune, it does clash a little bit because it does kind of require the maximum amount of power that your Odin 3 has. I'll show you what it's like with Clustertune enabled, and then I'll show you what it's like with Clustertune off, which is basically like your stock Android setting. It does work at 30 FPS, which is crazy to me because I can't believe the 360 emulation with Gears of War works this well already. I don't really think there's been that many improvements to the Gears of War to the Xbox 360 emulator since I last tested it on the Odin, on the Thor. I just think it's much more powerful on this new Xbox kind of 360 emulation stuff. The Odin 3 is definitely going to be your friend here. And if you've got the max model like me with the 16 gigs of RAM, you shouldn't really have anything to worry about as far as your memory goes. So this is what it's like with Clustertune. I can hear the fan ramping up. The temps are definitely going to be a 54 at the minute. Now, when I turn Clustertune off, I mean, technically, it's not really playable. You could kind of get away with playing this. I wouldn't personally play it at 23 FPS. Temps are ramping up. 57. That's still not very hot, though. That's really, really playable temps here. If I now drop Clustertune, so see, this is with Clustertune on. See, this area is like quite a good stress test because there's a lot of environmental damage going on, a lot of explosions going on. It's not terrible. There's quite a lot of stuttering. When it finally caches everything and the shaders are okay, it's not bad. And it seems to be hovering around 30 FPS here, so it really impressed me with how good this Gears of War Judgement ran on the Odin 3. I'm only using 27% of my overall memory as well, and it's only running at 56 degrees. So really, really nice when you pair this with Clustertune, when it has all the caching done. Now, if I go ahead and, I mean, this is technically playable, right? The caching is kind of finished. 30 FPS pretty much locked in. Really, really nice to see that we can get some really playable frame rates on the Xbox 360 emulator now. Because when I tested it on the Thor last week, it just really wasn't playable. Certain games played okay, but a lot of the stuff that I wanted to play, like Gears of War, just wasn't playable. It was like 12 FPS, really, really poor performance. So awesome to see that it's working so well on here. I will drop the Clustertune now and show you guys what it's like without this Clustertune. Now, this is without Clustertune on, so this is the stock. The fan is going absolutely ballistic. Now, you probably will get playable frame rates a lot quicker at the extent of your Odin 3 taking off like a jet plane. The fan is like unbelievably loud right now. I'd need some like noise cancelling headphones in to play this comfortably. The temps are going to be massively increased as well. As you can see here, the temps are what, like 88 degrees, which is very, very hot. Makes sense as to why the fans are going ballistic. This is a big advocation for Clustertune here, because although it might seem more stable, I would rather the odd choppiness to then it smooth out than having the fans this loud and the temps this high. We was running at about nearly 60 degrees when we had Clustertune on the large underclock, and now Gears is testing the Odin 3. Listen to this fan. The fan on the Odin 3 is not quiet by any means, but I haven't actually played anything like as much as this that stresses it as much. This game definitely stresses the Odin 3 the most from what I've played so far. Where we'll say it's like a consistent 30 FPS and is very playable now. Significantly less stutters, but again we are running it at a very high temp here, and it is also very loud. If you aren't fussed about how loud your Odin 3 can get and how hot it can get, it's not bad. Yeah, I mean, I can comfortably kind of play this to an extent, obviously minus the giant tree fire that's causing a hell of a lot of performance dips. Generally, you can play Gears of War on your Odin 3. How sick is this? Like natively, like not even streamed or anything like that. Super cool. But yeah, I just wanted to do you a quick test between the two versions with the Clustertune on and Clustertune off. Now this game won't test your Odin 3 to the max, but I just wanted to give Peggle a shout out. I absolutely love this game. The fact that we can get these Xbox 360 arcade games, that was a terrible shot. The fact that we can get these Xbox 360 arcade games working on the 360 emulator is kind of where I was going with the 360 emulation. So instead of playing like your massively hard to run games like Gears of War Judgement and all the Gears stuff, the Forza stuff, I was kind of excited to see if we could run like the Xbox 360 OG arcade games. I don't know if you guys remember playing any of these. Like I was thinking like Splosion Man, Missplosion Man, the Toy Soldiers game, the strategic one, Shadow Complex, although that has had a PC version. But you know, all these Xbox 360 arcade games, like Castle Crashers, and you know, when the indie games were like coming out on Xbox and it was like a brand new thing, and it was so cool to see like these new indie titles getting worked on by smaller teams. I know indie titles are huge now, we can play them anywhere, but it was a really, really cool year to be in when they started bringing out these little smaller game titles that were super fun on the Xbox Live Arcade marketplace and stuff. But Peggle was one of the gems. Such a fun arcade game. I just love having this on all my devices. That was a great shot. Just to have a portable version of this game that I can just play whenever I want. There's so many cool levels on it. It's so fun. Essentially all you're doing is trying to hit all the orange pegs and then getting the highest score possible, but it's got some great sprite work in it and some great animations, and it's just a super fun game. Very much just like a pinball style puzzler, but yeah, I very much love this. I won't give it too much more time, but as you can see here with the large underclock, it's still using a decent amount of power here. So 50 degrees, about 26% of our memory use and 24% of our CPU use here. But Peggle, if you like the look of that, Xbox arcade emulation is legit. Now, I did show off the Simpsons game on the AYM4, and it was reasonably playable to an extent. There was a lot of sound issues going on, a lot of sound glitches, and some of the level when a lot of them chocolate rabbits came into play, it slowed down and bogged down quite a lot. I'm happy to confirm that on the Odin 3, the Simpsons game is actually super solid. I was really, really impressed with the performance I managed to get out of this. So not only is it pretty much a locked 30, this is with the large underclock on as well, and it looks fantastic. I have to say the game looks really, really sharp. It does have slight slowdown when you've got some bigger areas loaded in, like this whole Simpsons map is definitely going to be your harder to run areas rather than the individual levels. This Simpsons game has like a weird open world and then you go into individual levels at certain times. But yeah, just get over the fact that there might be a little bit of lag when you're looking at like these big vistas. As soon as you get into like these smaller segments, like if I go into this church here, best thing is the temps are really, really reasonable on this. As you can see, 49 degrees, and the fan speed is like basically You can't hear it. I'm running all these games at high performance mode, by the way, of course. I think the only system I don't run at high performance mode is the PSP, which I don't really necessarily need to. And then that means I can have the fan on a bit quieter. But for the Simpsons game, I just kind of wanted to show it off. When you're actually in levels that are not massively open world, with the large underclock on, it works at like 30 FPS. Really, really solid performance here. Now, I've hopped over to the Nether SX2 emulator. Now, this is on the Turnip side of things. So this is the Nether SX2 emulator with the Turnip driver. I was very excited to get onto looking at some PS2 footage here because the Odin 3 having the Elite chip and then it having a new Turnip driver in. So this obviously is using the newer Turnip driver. I wanted to see the performance in certain games. Sly Cooper being one of the most demanding titles for the Odin 3 and just in general for Nether SX2. I normally flip-flop between testing like some Jak and Daxters or some Slies. I'm going to test a couple of PS2 games here, but I'm happy to report that you should have zero problems with PS2 on this. I'm very excited to be able to have the PS2 side of things running like at 100% speed permanently. Haven't played a game on the PS2 side of things that's challenged the Odin 3 yet. Now this is again, large underclock is turned on. This is using the Nether SX2 Turnip version. And yeah, Sly Cooper, this isn't even running at like low resolution either. This is running at like decent resolution. If I just show you my settings here, 3 times native resolution on Sly Cooper, so it looks very sharp. Looks really, really nice and crispy on the screen here. And we're running it about 47 degrees, barely touching the RAM. And yeah, it just is super nice to see that Sly Cooper now works 100 times speed. Now, I know a lot of you guys will probably say, well, you could use the classic version and that would have worked perfectly fine, but I can't seem to install the classic version of Nether SX2 and the normal version of Nether SX2, and I prefer the normal version just because I have a lot more compatibility with other PS2 titles. So I wouldn't just have the classic version installed to get better performance in Sly Cooper when it's not going to run my other games better. If I could have both of them installed at the same time, then that would obviously be fine. But yeah, having like a one and done PS2 emulator now that can just play everything is amazing. Like absolutely amazing. Like even if it like struggled in Jak 3, which I know is a super demanding title that I do want to try, we could just drop the resolution down to 1080p. So yeah, I would definitely, if I needed to, drop the resolution down. But at the moment, it's really, really running awesomely at that like 3.5 times resolution there. So really nice to see. That was a clutch sweep through. Love Sly Cooper. Another game with amazing performance that I definitely wasn't able to run at full speed before is Need for Speed Most Wanted. So this is the PS2 version, of course. Like I said, Turnip driver is running. I couldn't get this working at full speed for me on the Thor. Literally running at full speed for me here. Like I had a lot of slowdown, especially in the cutscenes related stuff on the Thor as well. And just in general, getting this to run at 100% speed on a handheld is like, I'd have to run the resolution near native. Like there's a lot of like kind of hacks that you might have to do to it to get it working. But on the Odin 3 with the Turnip driver installed, it runs insanely well. Like there might be a couple of blooming glitches there with the lighting, but the actual performance here, solid 60, like absolutely solid 60 here. Notice the fan's going a bit harder, so obviously this is more of a demanding PS2 title to run, but again, it's not really a audible sound, the fan. You can just kind of get a slight bit of the whirring noises at the back. It seems to be a little bit of a louder fan than the Portal 2, I want to say. I don't think the Portal 2 had a louder fan like this, but it does a good job at cooling the device, but it also has this like kind of strange high-pitchedness to it. So if you're sensitive to like high-pitched fan noise, keep that in mind. You might pick up like a slight high-pitched whirring noise on the Odin 3's fan. But I will say it's doing an awesome job here at the performance. Again, testing all of the different effects and stuff on Need for Speed. Not a single drop in that top right corner there. You'd be able to tell if it had dropped in speed because it would go red instead of being white. 53 degrees, that's really nice. And this is again using the large underclock. Just goes to show that you don't necessarily need to have it running at 100%. Like it can pretty much handle most things at that large underclock, and then you're going to get better battery life and fan and everything. One of my favourite animated movies of all time, Coraline. Now, this is a super niche pull. I absolutely love this game because it's such a faithful recreation of the film. And back when I was a kid, when I first watched Coraline, I absolutely loved that portal dimension kind of element where you go through a tunnel and it's like an alternate reality. Everything's the same, but also different. And obviously in Coraline, she goes over there and her family are a lot nicer to her at first, and obviously there's a whole like ulterior motive to it. But the actual game is super fun, like got this real like cool puzzle element to it, and generally is just a great PS2 classic title from back in the day. Movie tie-in title, I would say. Like these movie tie-in titles used to be quite popular on the PS2 because they were quite cheap to make, and movies just kept coming out. Animated movies kept coming out, so they just churned out these animated titles. I will say Coraline is an exception. It is a decent PS2 game, just from like an overall like third person puzzler kind of perspective. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to show it off. It works really, really well on the Odin 3. It's not really testing the Odin 3 much. I can't really hear the fan spinning at all, and it seems to be working really, really nicely. If you're a fan of Coraline, let me know in the comments. I absolutely love this animated movie. It's definitely in my top 5 animated films. All the work that they put into the characters, like they had to, it's essentially a stop motion film, right? So it's like the amount of effort they put in to creating these characters in stop motion was so cool to see in the 1-0. In the movie itself, it's definitely not dated at all. And it's actually quite scary for a kids movie as well. Like the mum in it, like later on in the movie, gets pretty scary. So if you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. But yeah, the game works super well, and yeah, it's just great to jump back to. I'm just getting so many nostalgic memories from this game. So I'm just going to boot up a PC game now using Game Native 1.0. I'm just going to make sure I'm selecting the Turnip driver here, so Turnip Gen 8 V2, save that, and then click play. I really want to play Abzu. This is such an awesome underwater like kind of exploration game with a lot of like aquatic life in it. It runs really well on the Odin 3, and if you want to use frame gen to get it up to 120 FPS, you can do that. It runs super well, it runs at great temps. Let's dive in and have a look. So here we are in the main menu. Going to run it at 720p just to start with. I'm going to have it on high essentially, which looks stunning on this 6-inch screen. If you click new game here, we do have frame gen running to start with. Let me just put on the performance HUD so you guys can actually see what's going on here. As you can see, we're getting insane performance here. I will turn frame gen off and show you what it's like with frame gen off. But frame gen is so well optimized now on these devices that I don't mind having it on because I can't really see much difference between the two. You could have it off and like, yeah, you can get like native FPS, or you can have it on, get a massive bump up in FPS and hit your 120 Hz cap. It's really up to you guys on how you want to play the games. I think that's the beauty of the device. There's so many ways to play these PC titles. FPS has significantly dipped now that we're about to start gameplay. But yeah, I think the combination of frame gen and the Odin 3 is such a deadly combination for most of your PC library. You're going to be able to run pretty much most of your PC library to a certain extent, minus some of them maybe very heavy mega AAAs, depending on how much tweaking you want to do. But if I just dive underwater here, give you more of like an accurate FPS here. But yeah, as you can see, we're about 200 FPS, which is kind of nuts really, isn't it, for a PC title. Now Abzu is known to be a bit more of a demanding title. I mean, I will get through to some of like the more foliage heavy areas, but to have this running at 200 FPS on a handheld Android device is absolutely wild. Like I say, this is using the new Turnip driver. So using like the known config with the new Turnip driver, and yeah, I just really like this game. It's super chill. Love exploring the ocean. Big ocean lover. I don't necessarily like swimming in the ocean, but I'm also very intrigued about what's in the ocean itself. Just grab all of this fish and then swim through. Yeah, you can see the FPS going down slowly as we get through here, but yeah, this big open area here with a lot of light shafts going on will affect the performance quite heavily. And there you go, about 140 FPS, which is still very solid. I mean, it still feels super smooth on here. Just so you guys are aware, like it's not going to be a 200 plus FPS the whole game. Temps are running really nice at 62 degrees, completely fine with that. This is with the Clustertune large underclock on, so we're not seeing any ridiculous temps and not seeing any super high pitched fan noise. Although I can hear the fan It's not terrible at the minute. But yeah, the Odin 3's fan is pretty damn loud. If I turn off the frame gen, show you guys how it runs at regularly. So we're looking at about 53 FPS here, which is really nice to be fair. This is at 720p at high settings. I think FrameGen's bugging the actual game up at the moment, so we're looking at about like 50, 60 FPS without FrameGen on. So with FrameGen on, you're going to get obviously a nice bump up there, but it is really playable without FrameGen. You just might want to put the effects down a little bit from high. But yeah, this is at 720p. I don't mind it running at 720p. A lot of the games look great on this 6-inch screen, and then if you need it to be a little bit more sharper, you can add a bit more sharpening via the actual in-game sharpener tool. So that's the Odin 3. That's basically my first video on the Odin 3. Let me know what kind of content you want to see on the Odin 3. I've got a lot of good ideas. I'm going to make this like an interchangeable thing between my channels. So we're going to bounce from the Odin 3 over to the Thor. So the Thor is not being forgotten about. It's definitely going to be featured heavily. I know a lot of you guys have Thors, and that's super important. But it is also nice to delve into the power of the Odin 3, seeing how well we can run it, how like AAA PC games can run on it. I'm super excited to dive more into the Odin 3 on the channel, so expect a lot more content on it. But as like an intro video on the Odin 3, you can already tell it's an absolute beast. The size of it as well, without this grip case on, it is tiny. It is an absolute unit. So stay tuned, guys. If you want to support the channel, feel free to check out the Patreon in the description below. Massive appreciation for watching anyway, guys. And like I say, always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys soon.